Cool.
like
Go ahead. You're showing us a drink you got.
yeah, so I would go to this corner liquor store and I was gonna tell the guys like the last couple of weeks I would go in there and I was like, I should tell them like you can start selling cannabis beverages because they like have a whole wall that's just like soft drinks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, it'd be cool if they had like some of the Farm Bill weed beverages in there. And I turned and I was like, oh, there's full on 25 milligram, 12-ounce drinks.
Nice, dude.
Which
And
is
now
like, it's a pretty
how
high dose for like a 12-ounce can from as
yeah.
far as I've seen.
Yeah, dude. Like 2 cans of those, that's a pretty good dose, you know?
Yeah, like that's like a before bed dose for me usually, if
Right.
I kick it up to a crazy amount.
Yeah. So how much did that run you, that can?
This was 6.99.
Okay. Not bad at all. I mean, I feel like a fucking a 10, well, yeah, I feel like, yeah, a 10 milligram drink probably costs more than that in Illinois, you know?
Well, you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The I know I looked online just out of curiosity and like those canned beverages, which are like one of the more popular like 12-ounce cans that I see, not like they
Yeah.
have I think PTS does one that's like 100 milligrams. It's like a bottle you're supposed to like mix with other stuff, kind of.
Right.
Those canned drinks are like 2 or 4 milligrams. So they sell them in like 12 milligram 6 packs or 20 milligram 4 packs. And I think those are like over $20 for that.
Are you saying the can drinks like CANN?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about that? So apparently that company is backed or has some sort of
Well,
tie.
it's GTI, right?
Bingo. I was about to say GTI. And we recently hosted that Delta 8 debate, and people they were kind of saying that only or
Oh, yeah. Aren't they in Minnesota?
yeah, they're in Minnesota. That's
Like
the point I was.
operating under the Farm Bill.
Uh-huh.
So funny. And they
Yeah.
want to bitch. They want to bitch and moan about people doing it here.
Right. Right. Right.
Well, not just them. All of the licensed operators, obviously.
Right. Well, again, as I think Richard said on the show, dilution of the licenses is not good for those that have licenses.
Well, and it's just like, if you or I were license holders who own dispensaries in the state, I don't think we'd be like encouraging there to be unlicensed operators. I think we would probably do everything we could to put them out of business.
Yeah. Yeah. It is interesting though to have had those a few businesses on there that are both operating in cannabis but hemp as well. It's like I wonder why they don't have that viewpoint, you know?
Well, there's there's like a content creator cannabis guy called LMC.
Mm-hmm.
He's out of like Seattle, but I just in some video I was watching not long ago, he was like, I really think you're an idiot if you're not doing what Cookies is doing,
Right.
talking about like how they operate in licensed markets, but they're taking advantage of the Farm Bill to like get their brand out into all these states that don't
Mm-hmm.
have licensed markets. So really, I mean, you could say GTI is smart.
Yeah,
They're
true.
not waiting, they're trying to establish that brand early on.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point. And by having it in liquor stores and everything else, which is what they're doing in Minnesota, just completely normalizing it.
Well, I was just thinking as I was like buying it, just the experience of buying it at the liquor store, I was like, oh, because it's like people would be like, oh, you didn't buy that from a licensed dispensary. Like the licensed dispensary is supposed to be a safe place to sell stuff, make sure people are like of age and stuff. It's like the liquor store sells stuff that's way more serious and like damaging than cannabis beverages. So really, if anyone should be able to sell it, it should be them.
True, true. Why are we? That's the one thing that I think is so funny is that on one hand, we're recognizing and we're like saying that cannabis is safe and we shouldn't have to worry about it and anything else. But on the other hand, we're regulating it like it's a nuclear material, or like a firearm.
At least here, especially. Yeah.
Right, right.
There's other places where that might not be so true, but
I was speaking to Buds, who's been on the podcast in the past a while ago. Oh, actually, pretty recently, we did a nuclear energy podcast. he was on the Chillinois podcast. He's not been on the Cole Memo yet. By the way, this is your second time on the Cole Memo. You didn't even know it the first time you were on.
What was the first time?
The first time will have been the first history episode we did. So I'm going to
Oh
be
yeah, yeah,
releasing
yeah.
that under
Yeah.
the Cole Memo. And so for
That's
folks,
funny.
this is just going to be a short conversation I'm going to release. We're about to dive into the history thing, but I wanted to use this time to kind of promote that. So folks, if you're not familiar, I used to host the Chillinois podcast, and episode 232, which I'm going to display on the screen right now, was called The History of Illinois Cannabis with Philip, which is my friend who's joining me today.
That's
And
me.
yep, that's Philip. And so at the bottom of this episode, or included in this episode, there's a document that you can download, and it has citations for everything that we referenced during the episode. Well, we're building on that document. We're releasing new episodes where we kind of go through the document. And so I just wanted to key you in on that. Look out for that, folks. But if you haven't checked out 232 yet, I'm going to put a link in the episode description. I do recommend you start off with that, and then you check out the episodes we're about to release. Some interesting things I heard about Illinois history that before we actually get to the formalized document, THC was discovered in Champaign, Illinois. So is CBD and CBN. Normal was founded in Illinois. There's so many other things. Hash Wednesday. This guy I was talking to was saying that Champaign, Illinois doesn't get the recognition it deserves with regard to how much it progressed cannabis history. Jack Herrera is from, went in and out of Champaign,
Oh yeah,
Illinois.
yeah.
The farm, the Hemp for Victory World War II footage, that was retrieved out of archives from the University of Illinois, and Jack Herrera and others are the ones that turned it over to Congress. Before that, the United States government completely denied that existed. And
That's pretty great.
you can thank Illinois for that. So Illinois history, folks, check it out. We're going to be chopping it up with my good friend Phil. And I'm trying to think, there was something else that with Illinois history, I don't know. We're doing a Hash Wednesday series here in the future. I think you folks are really going to like it. If you like Illinois cannabis history, it'll be building on this in so many different ways. But there's just so much synchronicity around not only Champaign, Illinois, but Illinois with regard to cannabis reform. I think the first like real industrial uses of hemp in the United States, and I'll have sources for all of this, you can find it online, was in Champaign, Illinois. And then they kind of took some of those varieties over to Indiana, and we participated in the federal program to provide hemp to the government. So for the war. Anyways, though, check out the history episodes. We're going to end this short little.
And what you mean by hemp was actually Delta 8 beverages and THCA flower for the soldiers,
That's
right?
right. Yep. That's right. Yeah. So, anyways, folks, check out the history episodes. And Phil, let's talk about some cannabis history, shall we? All right.